Pope Francis and the 112th Pope. Hey folks, everything new under the sun. I want to take a look at the idea, which I saw in comments. Someone commented on it, but that Pope Francis is ill, and significantly so. So we're going to take a look at that. Let's mute this here. So this is there's a number of different websites that are covering this. Pope Francis continues to be active despite unsupported report of declining health. Is Pope Francis dying? And the answer, according to this, is no. There's no credible evidence that he is terminally ill. He is, however, what is he, 84, 86? He's old anyways. But Newsmax provided an article suggesting that he was dying effectively. And I mean, we're all dying for that matter to that point. But the suggestion was that he was going to die soon. And of course, it ties in. But it does not look like this is true information. Is Pope Francis really dying? What we know about the viral claim. So Newsmax reported, Newsmax White House correspondent and political columnist John Gizzi wrote an article claiming Pope Francis is dying and the Vatican does not expect him to survive past 2022. Now, as it relates to Bible prophecy, the false prophet, he would need to, I guess, last at least to the midpoint of the tribulation period. So if he doesn't last past 2022, in terms of Bible prophecy, it may mean that he is not the false prophet, if that were to be true. But this, again, this does appear, at least according to various websites, it seems to be fake. Here's another one, evaluating another one of those unnamed source news stories, and it's about John Gizzi, a longtime Washington correspondent. Pope Francis is dying. Vatican insiders, including my source, do not believe he will survive past 2022. But again, fact-check resources seem to indicate that that is not true. Regardless, you know, he's 80-something, and he, at the end of the day, is dying. We're all dying because we're all getting older every day. So let's look at this. So this is from my keynote presentation, the prophecy of the 112 popes. Now, this prophecy indicates that there's going to be, from the time this prophecy started, written by St. Malachi, until the end, until the return of the Lord, effectively, there would be 112 final popes. So who is the Pope? This is, let's see, let's go to that Pope Francis. So this is Pope Francis. George Mario Bergoglio became Pope Francis on March 13, 2013, when he was named the 266th Pope. Again, St. Malachi didn't start from Pope number 1. He obviously started halfway through, about 112 popes ago. And this Pope Francis is the 112th, if you go by that. So it's interesting how the 112th Pope is described in the prophecy of St. Malachi. So the 112th Pope, here you can read, Peter the Roman, who will pasture his sheep in many tribulations. Interesting way to describe the 112th Pope, in many tribulations. And when these things are finished, when the tribulations are finished, maybe the tribulation, not the great tribulation, when these things are finished, the city of seven hills will be destroyed. And the dreadful judge will judge his people. Does that mean God is going to finally judge at the midpoint of the 7-year period, when tribulations are finished, or the first 3.5 years of the 7-year period? The judge, the God of the universe, the God of the Bible, will judge his people. And that judgment is coming on, of course, the Jewish people who never accepted him as Messiah. And then it says, will be destroyed, and the judgeful judge will judge his people. And then it says, the end period. So this is St. Malachi making a statement about who the 112th Pope would be. Pope Francis happens to be the 112th Pope, if you count them up from the beginning of the prophecy of St. Malachi. And then it says the end. So that's the end of the papacy, the end, and there will be no more popes after that. He will be the final one. He will bring his people, he will shepherd his people, this Pope, through tribulations. When they are done, Rome will be destroyed, and God will judge his people. And that brings about the end of the world as we know it, heading into the wrath of God, and then, of course, into the millennial reign of Christ. But, the world as we know it ends at that point. So interesting, right? Interesting ideas about what this will be. And so you go into the questions, in that case, if he is the final pope, will he actually be the false prophet? Because, if you're talking about a false prophet who would lead alongside the Antichrist, who would get the whole world to say, you know what, worship this guy. I have faith in this guy. He is God, this Antichrist figure. He is God. I'm pointing me as the Pope. I'm pointing you to him as the God of this world, and to support the Antichrist. It would be interesting, wouldn't it? If he is the last Pope, maybe he could be the one person globally recognized all over the world as the Pope, as kind of the spiritual leader of the quote-unquote Christians of this world, as part of the three monotheistic religions. He is the most recognizable character, so he would be a great stand-in for the false prophet. And so in previous videos, I had gone over some of the details of, what could make him a good false prophet. Let's take a look at some of the pros and cons, just to kind of recap what we spoke about. There are some factors that seem to indicate Pope Francis could well be the false prophet, while others would argue against it. Number one, the Holy Roman Empire, which will be in power during the reign of the Antichrist and the false prophet, was reborn November 3rd, 2009. Number two, we are moving into a system of global governance right now. And this was a couple of years ago. This was, I don't know what the timing of this is, but I put this in a couple of years ago. I don't know if I have a date on it or not. 2013 maybe. This is when this was written. And now think about 2021, where we are now, moving into a system of global governance. It's so much more true now than it was then. Number three, most of the world is presently rejecting capitalism and embracing socialism. Now that is a big statement. Most of the world is presently rejecting capitalism. You think about the left, the people on the left in the United States, just as an example. What do they want? They want more control. They want more mandates. They love this stuff, it seems. They're all for socialism. They seem to want larger and larger governments to keep them safe. So interesting, number three. That really stands out to me. Number four, all the prophecies that are to occur during the reign of the Antichrist and the false prophet are shaping up at this time. Remember, this was in 2013, or around there. All the prophecies that the Antichrist is going to be involved with are shaping up, and how more so even now, as the world wants everybody to get the jab. They're calling on all faith leaders to convince their congregants to get the jab, to support the global community, to be as one, come together as one, and to save the world from this pandemic, etc., etc. Interesting. Number five, Pope Francis is a strong proponent of social justice. Isn't social justice one of the biggest themes, politically and otherwise, in this world, especially in the Western world? It says, which is simply a politically correct term for socialism. So social justice. Has that term come up over the last 2 years? Huge, huge. You think about BLM, on the race riots, and justice, social justice, and racial justice, etc. Number six, Pope Francis' lifestyle of humility and simplicity is causing him to become very popular very quickly. Now, in the last couple of years, I don't know that I've heard a lot about his popularity specific to his humility, but he certainly is pushing climate change agendas, social justice agendas. He's not really preaching the love of Christ or the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ on the cross. He's not really preaching or professing that we need Jesus Christ. We need to accept the free gift of salvation as payment for our sin. He's not really preaching the idea of sin. He's pushing climate change. He's pushing social justice. He's pushing peace and safety, but not really kind of the core tenets of the gospel. He's not really preaching the gospel as much as some of these other things worldwide. Number seven, Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope ever. So let's take a look at the cons. Well, the biggest factor against Pope Francis filling Bible prophecy about the false prophecies is his age. So in 2013, they were worried about his age. There is a 7-year period that will begin upon the signing of the Palestinian-Israeli peace agreement. This is what this article said in 2013. What is that, 8 years ago now? The reign of the Antichrist and the false prophet will be terminated at the end of the 7-year period. If the final 7 years starts next year, 2014, as of the time of this writing, which doesn't appear likely, the Pope would be 84 at the time of Armageddon. So that would be, let's see, 8 years. Yeah, 2021, 84. I guess he's 84 now, if that makes sense, because it would be in 2021 that it would be the end of the 7 years. So there you go. And that hasn't started yet. So if it's yet to start, maybe it starts this year, he would then be 91 at the time of Armageddon. So very old, obviously. If the final years begins in 2 or 3 years, the Pope would be even older by the time all of the prophesied world events culminated. Although it's not impossible the false prophet could fulfill his prophesied role at an age of 86, 87, it doesn't appear likely. So again, this is written as of 2013, when it was unlikely at that time he would get to that age. But he's still around, still kicking, and very old. Outside of the age factor, it appears Pope Francis, which, with his strong embrace of social justice, could qualify as the last pope. If Malachi's prophecy, the 112th pope, will be the last pope, is true, then Francis is definitely the false prophet, again, according to this writer, as of 2013. And this is still in play. This is one of those prophecies that's still in play. However, we must remember that the Bible doesn't say this, and the Bible must always be our final authority, not Malachi. I will say amen to that. The bottom line is we can't say for sure yet whether the Pope is the final one or whether a future Pope will fulfill that role. We will just have to wait and see how events develop. But it certainly is going to be interesting, isn't it, says the writer. So we sit here in 2021 at the time of the reference to Armageddon, as if it were to start in 2014 as compared to the writing of this article. And he is 84 now, plus or minus, I don't know. Is he exactly 84 at this moment in time? I don't know when his birthday is. You can Google that. But anyways, he's old, but he is still in place as Pope. So is he still, at this point in time, is the prophecy of the 112th Pope on track? Is it still valid? Yeah, very much so. And so this is something very, very interesting, certainly to continue to watch. So there you go. Peter the Roman, who will pasture his sheep through many tribulations. And when these things are finished, the tribulations, maybe heading into the Great Tribulation, the city on 7 hills will be destroyed, Rome will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge, maybe the God of the universe, the God of the Bible, will judge his people, Israel. Remember this, the tribulation is for the salvation of the Jewish nation. J.D. Farag, that's one of his lines. But I believe the second half, the wrath, that's for the Jewish people because they don't recognize Jesus Christ as Messiah. Now, those who have recognized Jesus Christ as Messiah, well, they become Christians, so they go up in the rapture, which I think happens at the midpoint of the 7-year period. So the Pope Francis, he's still around. He doesn't look like he's going anywhere anytime soon. The predictions and the stories of his health and his maybe soon to die are currently fake news as far as I can tell. So we'll see. But that being said, he is very old and he could die of a heart attack, in the next 5 minutes. Who knows? But as of today, December 13th, 2021, this is still in play. Pope Francis is still the 112th Pope, and it's yet to be fulfilled, if it will be fulfilled, and confirm or deny this prophecy, and we'll kind of watch it through to the end. At the end of the day, Bible prophecy will be fulfilled, but these extra biblical prophecies may turn out to be inaccurate. But so far, we're tracking with it, so we'll see where it goes. Thanks for watching, guys. I wanted to do an update on that, and we'll see you in the next video.